All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into a pretty incredible story. A story about leadership forged in fire, resilience against absolutely impossible odds, and what it really takes to build a life of genuine, far-reaching impact.
It's a question a lot of us think about, right? After a lifetime of service, of overcoming adversity, how do you make sure the lessons you've learned, the change you want to make, actually makes a difference out there in the world? Today's story offers a really powerful roadmap.
So, the man at the center of all this is Doug Healey. And let me tell you, he wears a lot of hats. By day, he's a health executive, transforming New Zealand's digital healthcare. Then you've got his work as an educator with the AI Academy. That's reached over 40 million people. On weekends, he's a community trainer. You see, this isn't just a resume. It's a portrait of relentless service across totally different fields. And you gotta ask, how does one person do all this?
To understand the impact, you first have to understand the foundation it was all built on. And for Doug, that foundation was, well, it was forged in some of the toughest circumstances you can imagine.
This quote, it really sets the stage perfectly. Doug's story doesn't start with privilege. It starts with a fight. Just look at this timeline. It shows you just how early that life of responsibility began. I mean, at an age when most of us are just starting to figure out the world, Doug was already carrying the weight of it. At 7, he's working. By 13, he's left school for good just to keep his family afloat. And at just 16, he's a husband and a father. This wasn't a childhood. It was a crucible, a pressure cooker, compressing decades of responsibility into just a few short years.
And after building a life and a career against all those odds, that crucible was about to get even hotter. In 2005, a single moment at work threatened to take it all away. A sudden, catastrophic back injury.
Now, this was the turning point. The medical verdict for a spine fractured in 3 places was that a full recovery was unlikely. And, that word can feel like a final judgment. But what Doug heard was different. He heard not impossible. He chose to filter out all the doubt and just focus on that tiny sliver of hope. His physical recovery really began with that mental choice.
And that incredible resilience, it wasn't just for his own recovery. It became the fuel for a mission that would basically define the rest of his life. A really powerful philosophy of service.
Just 4 words, that's it. But this simple promise became his guiding principle, his North Star. It's the core idea that connects everything he does, from healthcare to technology to community work. And in 2006, he put that mission into action. He founded something called the Influence Crew. Now, on the surface, it offered free training camps. But if you look closer, the real goal wasn't a six-pack. It was about rebuilding the confidence that gets absolutely destroyed by illness and isolation. It was a tangible way to live up to that promise. And here's the formula that made it so powerful. It's so simple but brilliant. It started with a tool, the camps. But when people used that tool to push past what they thought was possible, it rebuilt their self-belief. And that unleashed this wave of potential. Suddenly, people who struggled to even jog were crossing the finish lines of international marathons. This wasn't just a physical change. It was a total identity shift, and it rippled through an entire community.
Okay, so you have this foundation of resilience, and you have this crystal clear mission of service. So what happens when you apply all of that to a national crisis? This is where all the pieces come together in this massive case study of leadership.
What's just remarkable here is the 15-year gap. It shows that effective crisis leadership doesn't just start on day 1 of the crisis. Way back in 2005, Doug was already deep in pandemic planning for H5N1. 15 years later, when COVID-19 hit, that foundational work became the launchpad for New Zealand's entire national response.
So what did that response look like? The first pillar was innovation. The healthcare system was buckling. So in the middle of the chaos, his team built the country's first ever digital triage system from the ground up just to keep things from completely falling apart and get people the right care fast.
The second pillar was support. And this went way beyond just fighting a virus. His team set up emergency housing for the most vulnerable, and they were operating on a really simple truth. You can't protect a community's health if you ignore their basic human needs. It's as simple as that.
And the final pillar, mobilization on a massive scale. He led the country's largest vaccination centers, but here's the critical strategic part. They intentionally staffed them with the largest Maori nursing workforce. This wasn't just about logistics. It was about building trust and making sure the program actually connected with the communities that needed it the most.
So when you break it all down, you see the anatomy of true impact. It's the foresight to prepare for decades, the innovation to build things under fire, the inclusivity to serve real people, not just solve abstract problems, and the decisive action to make it all happen.
And that brings us to the final thought here. Doug Healey's story is really a masterclass in response. It's about hearing the word unlikely and deciding that actually means game on. Which leaves all of us with a really fundamental question. We are all going to face our own knockdowns. So when your moment comes and life knocks you flat, what will you do?